How to deal with a confused mind. I don't know. I'm just kidding, but I wish I knew. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Yeah. It is a thing, right? Confusion. It is something that is within all of us that we face. It is the nature of who we are when we face a new situation, to feel that confusion. Have you ever come to a new traffic stop where things have changed, or there's construction, or any situation that you walk into that's brand new? We slow down. We meet it with curiosity or fear. Confusion is the first step on the road to clarity. That's the sign that you're about to get clear on something. When you're in that state of confusion, you can recognize, hey, I'm in this space. I'm in an emotional state of confusion. So what it's telling me is I'm about to learn something. I'm about to get better at something. I'm about to overcome this situation because right now I'm confused. But it's hard to sit there in that moment when you're feeling confused and take on those emotional responses that we all have when we feel confused. Your narrative may be different than somebody else's. Maybe you think you're dumb when you're confused. Maybe you think you're incapable. I don't know what happens, but we can have these self-reflective thoughts that can enhance the confusion and make it more fearful and more debilitating when we add on to it with our own emotional sort of response to that emotion. Confusion is a natural thing every one of us feels. So get used to recognizing how it represents in your body. When I feel confused, I tend to have kind of this freeze in my brain. I'll have resistance in my chest and heart that I sense, and I kind of get on alert. Like I watch and I'm looking for what's coming next, and I slow down. That's typically what I do when I'm confused. So if you want to get out of this state, if you're overwhelmed with confusion and you're thinking, what do I do? What's my next move? Because typically when people get really confused, if it becomes to a point where it's overwhelming, they do freeze. They become stuck. You might be dealing with some issues in the boardroom, or you might be dealing with some difficult relationship situations or financial choices that you have to make. There's got to be something that you're going to be doing next, and the climate that you're in is so confusing you don't know what to do next. And in that space, you can feel overwhelmed with confusion. You want to break out of it. You don't have enough information. What do I do? Trust your gut. Did you know that there are neurons within your gut and your heart that act like a brain? So that's why you have those gut feelings. That's why you have that feeling in your heart. And when you align your mind, your heart, and your gut in unison on something, man, you can act with real confidence. But when you're confused, when your mind is overwhelmed with the new knowledge of whatever it is you're facing, trust your gut. Take that step, whatever that gut tells you, take that little step and see what that response is. And this will begin to break down your confusion, because action in the space of confusion is really one of the key components of moving through it. Taking action as you face that confusion requires you to move with bravery. And that bravery to act when you don't know in your mind will come from your gut and come from your heart. So move into those spaces when you're there, and it will change everything. And I'm going to tell you a story of how this happened for me. When I was in my, I'd finished my undergrad, and I was planning on being an English professor. And I went to do a master's in English literature, and in preparation for this, in my undergrad, I had studied a lot of postmodern and deconstructionist theory and looking at different ways to analyze texts. And there were a lot of new words that I had not known before. These theories of how you would engage with a text and analyze the information in it were all new to me. And I spent a lot of time in my undergrad studying, reading, in my professor's office, trying to figure out what this postmodern deconstructionist theory and thought were, how I would properly use it when looking at texts and reading books, just in the world in general, how I could engage with it. And I felt like I had a very, very tenuous grasp on what that was when I entered my program at grad school. And I'll never forget the first day we sat in a room. It was, I think, about 10 students. It was not big classes in grad school. We had a professor that would give us books to read, and then we would come in and we would critique what we had read around the theories of these authors that they had produced in postmodern and just rhetorical theory that was out there. And the students would respond with, observations of what they read or thoughts. And as students were talking and using the words that I was still in the process of metabolizing, so they became a part of me. When you talk to somebody and they've just learned a new word, and they'll say, yeah, they'll say the word and then they'll say the definition of the word after they say it. And then oh, you're just still learning that word because you're actually trying to define the word right now so that you are sure that you're using it correctly. That's kind of how I felt with my grasp on these words. Like, I could kind of name the definition. I wasn't quite feeling comfortable using these words with confidence in a sentence. And so I was kind of stumbling along. But these students just would rip out sentence after sentence full of these amazing words that I was learning and using them in ways that I didn't understand. I didn't know what anybody was saying. I finished that first day of class and I went home and I spoke to my wife. I was married, and I said, I don't think I'm smart enough for this program. I don't understand anything that's going on. I'm sitting there lost. I think I maybe need to drop out. After regrouping with that confusion, feeling overwhelmed with my stupidity and wanting to retreat and withdraw in fear, I recognized I can't do this. I have to figure this out. So I went back to the next class and I sat there feeling overwhelmed again as people began to get ready to speak. And it just happened to be this girl sitting at the end of the table across from me. She said something in response to the text that we had read. And when she finished, everyone's nodding their heads, and I didn't understand what she'd said. And I trusted my gut. And I didn't want to do this, but my gut was saying, just ask what she means and find out. It won't matter. Even if they know, then they can teach you. You can be embarrassed. I had to examine what I was worried about. I didn't want to expose to the class my stupidity, my inability to use the words the way they were using them. I wanted to be bright and one of the good students in the class, and I was clearly not. And I was afraid to expose myself. And I put up my hand, and the professor called on me, and I said, I didn't understand that comment. And I was talking to the girl. I said, I didn't understand your comment. You used these words, these three words in that sentence, and my understanding of these three words is that they mean this and this and this, and I don't know how that's used in that sentence because I don't understand the words like you do, and it doesn't make sense to me. Can you talk to me in layman's terms and explain? And the girl kind of looks at me like frustrated that I would say that, and I'm feeling so embarrassed, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm the bonehead in the class. And the professor looks at me and he goes, good question, James. I didn't understand her either. And then the girl's face of kind of sneering at me changes, and she went beet red. And I felt my relief and my confusion lift. Now, I still was just like this girl, struggling to learn these words. But what I recognized was I was sitting in my fear of not fully understanding and embracing my confusion and resisting what I could learn by just opening up because I was assuming I was stupid. But in that moment when I realized the professor didn't understand and I didn't understand and she didn't understand, the girl that had spoken, I knew that I understood more than I had thought. I had made progress with my learning. And it gave me that boost of confidence to be like, damn, I got this. Like, I'm as good at least as that girl who I think is so impressive and so smart. And so I know I can do this. And it changed my affect, and my confusion melted away. And even though I still had the same level of understanding, I realized my confusion was turning to knowledge. And that was powerful. And it kept me going. I was able to do well in that class. It was great. So that is the way that we can take our confusion, embrace it, and know You're on the cusp of something different that can push you into a space of understanding that you do not have at the moment if you will embrace the uncertainty, recognize the discomfort, analyze how it hit you, move through it, and be successful. Confusion is your friend, and your mind will always be confused because you're always going to learn. So embrace it. I'm James. Thanks for watching my video.